Tonight, we want to tell you about an Oklahoma family ripped apart by sexual abuse. Two children who say they were abused by their caretaker, a biological relative. Our investigation began when we found out the man accused of the crime is walking free. Also a warning, the information in this report is graphic. The crimes are unimaginable, but we are sharing the details with you because it's important to understand why this family is so outraged. News Channel 4's Allie Meyer has been digging, trying to figure out where the case went wrong, or if it went wrong at all.
The allegations are unspeakable. Sex abuse against children. The suspect, a relative. The case scrutinized by Oklahoma City police investigators, pursued by the Sex Crimes Unit in the Oklahoma County District Attorney's Office. Two families preparing for trial when the case crumbles. It ends when the accused scored a deal. No jail time to serve, no court costs to pay, no obligation to register as a sex offender, no admission of guilt. Did the district attorney's office botch an open and shut case, or did a vindictive mother make it all up? The Department of Human Services had been investigating abuse in the Harrington family for years, since 1997. A time when two young children were living with a relative inside this Oklahoma City home. Inside these walls, investigators allege unimaginable abuse. The victims, 4 and 5 years old at the time. DHS confirmed physical and sexual abuse of both children. According to juvenile court records, they called it heinous and shocking, chronic over a period of years. Abuse that included exposing the kids to pornography. The probable cause affidavit documents one victim remembers being choked, tied up naked, and put in a corner. Both kids recount in horrific detail anal penetration.
Over and over. It didn't happen once, it didn't happen twice, it didn't happen 10 times. It happened for so long.
We're protecting the identity of the children's mother. She is afraid of the man accused of the crimes. His name is Kai Harrington, a former police officer from the city of El Reno, terminated from the department back in 2003. The same year, he was charged with a dozen counts of child abuse. Harrington has always maintained his innocence. John Coyle headed up his defense.
If DHS confirms something, it means the worker has the opinion that something may have happened. And that's a lot different than proof in a court of law.
That's why the case file includes snapshots of the suspected physical abuse and medical documentation about physical evidence of sexual violation.
He was telling us he kind of hurt, and he was spanked, and we looked and saw these.
A fraction of the evidence the state started collecting to put together their case. In early 2003, Wes Lane's office charged Kai Harrington with 12 counts of abuse, felony charges including forcible anal sodomy of a young boy, sexual abuse of a young girl.
The children both went to court school so they could be prepared to be questioned. The kids were looking forward to telling a jury what happened to them and letting people know they wanted justice.
July 2003, the children, 10 and 11 years old that summer, finally got their day in court. According to a transcript of the preliminary hearing, the young girl talked about a night of horror. Quote, "He would tie me up, put me in his room without any clothes on. He would throw boots at me, made me eat vomit. It was disgusting." The boy told the court blood came out of his rectum after he raped me each time.
My son did so well on the witness stand that when Kai Harrington's attorney tried to change his wording, my son said, no, it didn't happen that way.
In fact, during the preliminary hearing, the district attorney's office asked for additional charges. The judge agreed. 7 counts were upgraded to first-degree rape, and 2 additional felony charges were added to the rap sheet.
Up until a week before our jury trial, everything was supposedly fine. It was great. We were good to go.
That's when the world came crashing down on this family. They were called in for a meeting with an assistant district attorney they had never met. It was 1 week before trial.
We were told we were going to go over our testimony. She told me that the system let us down, and unfortunately, a deal was going to be made.
One of the young victims is living in a residential psychiatric facility. His mom says it is the result of years of sexual abuse. The other young victim wanted to talk about the case.
Yeah, I just didn't want him to get away with it.
She remembers being ready for trial, prepared until this conversation with the prosecutor, an assistant district attorney.
She just sat me down and she told me she made up her mind and that we weren't going to go to trial. And I told her that I wanted to go, no matter what, I wanted to go, and she told me no. And that was it. She told me that Kai's attorney, his new attorney, would be like 100 times worse and would eat me alive and twist all my words around to make them all against me.
Problem is that assistant district attorney told police something else. She told them the mom didn't want the kids to testify. Then she told the Canadian County District Attorney's Office something else. The children didn't remember the abuse. And now, a year later, Wes Lane says something else altogether. Kai Harrington is innocent. Lane didn't want to talk to us on camera, so he sent over this statement. Quote, after an exhaustive review of the facts and discussions with the children, this office declined to pursue the sexual abuse allegations. To do so would have simply been wrong. Our job is to do justice, not make innocent people guilty. The prosecutor believed the children were influenced by a vengeful mother.
And I think when we showed the district attorney all those inconsistencies, that's when they started to have doubts.
Kai Harrington's attorney tells us there were inconsistencies in the children's stories, and that's why the case unraveled.
They took a hard look at the case and decided this didn't happen. And that no jury, 12 people, were going to believe the kids. And that's why we were able to strike the bargain for Kai and get him out of trouble.
About a week before trial, the state offers up a deal. They drop 13 out of the 14 counts. They agree to a plea of no contest on one criminal count.
He was very satisfied with the result, and so was I. Anytime you're charged with 14 crimes and you walk home that day, that's an excellent result.
Kai Harrington got no jail time. The deal came with a 5-year deferred sentence. And according to the handwritten notes on his plea deal, he didn't even have to pay court costs.
I think it's disgusting. This is not justice. This is a joke. He just let him get away with it.
Wes Lane's office now points the finger at that mother. Quote, this is the very sad case of a manipulative mother who, in her zeal to destroy her ex-husband during divorce, was willing to brainwash her children, lie to DHS, and falsely accuse innocent school and hospital workers of abuse.
If Wes Lane is saying this didn't happen, it happened, how can a whole Department of Human Services be wrong? And they all know it's happened. For one person, or for the DA to have changed his mind to say it didn't happen, I don't understand it.
Today, one of the young victims is confined to a psych ward. The other pulled out of school because she can't control her bowels, a common symptom among sex abuse victims. According to Kai Harrington's online personal file, he lives with his pets. Because of DHS intervention, he cannot have contact with the children. John Coyle calls the case a victory, a good outcome for his client, Kai Harrington. Justice is rarely black and white. More often you find it in the gray. Though many of the people involved in this case over the years, the ones to take a hard look, have a hard time seeing success. Many say this one has raised more questions than it has answered.
Now, we also called the Canadian County District Attorney's Office about this case. They allowed Kai Harrington to plead no contest for the one count of child abuse they allege occurred in Canadian County. They tell us they believe the children were telling the truth, but they said there was a risk taking the case to trial.